Okay, so I felt compelled to follow up on that video because I wanted to share my vision. Because, you know, some people would probably wonder, well, gosh, what's the big deal? The big deal is that this whole situation is wrong. And it's exploitative, and it's just like fucking goddamn evil from the fucking ground up. But, you know, whatever. I was a weird person when I came into town. I will say that. I mean, not weird, but just like I had weird hobbies, habits. I was an odd kid. So when I wandered into Bakersfield, many, many years ago for the first time, I was carrying a lot of that weirdness with me. Like, when I was younger, the whole Facebook thing is probably because, when I was younger, I would call people up on the phone and be anonymous. And so I was a weird person, okay? I mean, that's the kind of shit I did. So when I came to this town, it was like, hey, I'm just being whatever, same old weirdness. But as I got older, of course, you just like, well, you just leave that baggage behind and you change, and there's no need to do that. You got other things to do. You got to be serious all the time, right? So, I don't do that shit anymore. You don't hear me calling people, bothering people. Of course, I don't have phone booths anymore, and things like Star 69 kind of put an end to that, right? But seriously, though. But seriously, okay, so anyway, I wanted to talk about my vision of things, okay? As I mentioned in my last video, when I was growing up, I was kind of a bully kid, as an adult, I'm a bullied person, right? It's just because, people aren't used to people who speak the way that I do, the way that I behave, and it's noticeable even as you're a child, that you're different. And oftentimes, parents look at their kid and they just assume that the child's being precocious, they're being annoying and whatever, because sometimes the child's intellectual abilities, surpass the parents. And a lot of times kids like myself are completely resented by their parents. Although my parents must have put on kind of an act, I guess, a little bit, but my siblings just kind of fucking were in on it. I fucking whatever, don't know. But anyway, so, growing up, I remember some of my friends calling me a know-it-all and shit like that, and it wasn't. I was just very explorative and whatever. And so these things create differences in a lot of people, and it, obviously in my siblings. So that starts the sabotage. It starts the bullying and whatnot. So, as you get older, you get bullied in high school in various ways, right? So you don't want to be there, same thing. Why do I want to sit here and be in a bunch of people are fucking my shit up all the time? Initially, I was a bright kid. I wanted to be there all the time, whatever. But, things happen. So, it just becomes a miserable environment. So, I would ditch, and do whatever. And then, as time went on, I remember getting jobs, and I worked in different places when I was got older. And then, I got my son, and I was like, okay, I need to do something, And so I just started to improve my life. And I would say that it was quite motivating, And it was like, the more I noticed, the more I got away from my family, in different time periods, that I was like retaining memory more and just getting more excited about life, But I realized, that there was a gap, of what happened to me in high school and whatever. And I didn't want that to stop me. I didn't see any reason why it should, I'm a full believer in many people who have succeeded with very little. And I've seen examples of it over and over and over again, even in this modern day. So I'm not even talking about people who invented stuff at age of 12 or whatever, and just everyday people. I got in on the same platform when I got onto accounting back then. Back then, people weren't sitting here writing up, oh, you need a fucking bachelor's degree, you need a master's degree for a fucking office job, okay? None of that shit really was there. Now, I remember if you could probably make more money back then. Oftentimes, jobs were written as like, okay, you want like 4 years of college and then or the equivalent of 5 years. And that was how it was written. And then oftentimes there was nothing like that written at all. So I knew, you start off with a job, it's a reference. So you go into the next job and whatever. It doesn't matter why somebody hired me. It doesn't matter. I was there. And then people can tell that my work is good, okay? And I care about things, That's not to say that I've never made an error, because oftentimes, when I do make errors, a lot of it could be based on me transposing numbers, or I'm skipping lines because, I have vision issues or whatever. But I'm good and meticulous at my work, and I know that like people like Roxanne, and I remember working under another lady many years ago. I forgot her name, but it starts with a C. I like to think her name is Carol. Anyway, a lot of these people bragged about barely passing high school, okay? And so, that should never be an issue. It doesn't matter if my whole existence was built on bullying. It doesn't matter. The fact is, it's still necessary. And some people will say, well, we only hired her because, we were being silly. It was a joke or whatever. Well, let me tell you, she wasn't really qualified. Well, guess what? You're hiring friends of a friends. These people claim to be educated, and guess what? They're not qualified. And they just fucking showed it to everybody, in the United States and anybody else who wants to peek in on it. So my point is that this is the life of targeted individuals. You get individuals that think that because they set up a job for a person, even if it was a big joke and based on a fucked up, weird, twisted ideology, that they think, well, the Lord giveth and the Lord could take it away. This sort of like, well, I suggested that you work here so I can sit here and say, well, do not give her reference. It doesn't work like that, okay? Because let's not forget, this person could be a reference. You can refer a person to a job, but that person is in no way supposed to know what's going on in your file, or any of this sort of information that this person is still a third person, whether they introduced you or not. It irritates me so badly, that, Polly, I'm assuming it's her side of the family. It's probably involved in all this. It doesn't fucking matter. The fact is, I did a great job, and I've noticed people have said that many times. People don't want me to believe that. I'm sure it burns Polly to no end, and I'm sure it burns people like Steve Murray to no end. That what they thought was a joke ends up to be superior than they are. So the fucking joke's on your ass is what the joke is on. Okay. Sad part is I'm just as qualified, regardless whether you like it or fucking goddamn not. So it's not up to you. It's up to me. I have rights. Is your ego so big that you think that you can, somehow supersede that? I don't give a shit. It is what it is. And so some people who may have their 4-year degree, they might think, well, I'm jealous. Well, you know what? Here's what people don't realize, okay? First of all, there's a lot of people like me who got into accounting straight out of high school, okay? They used to teach that shit in high school. Now they're sitting here telling you, they're pumping this education bullshit because they're trying to make money off people, okay? And that's pretty much the way that goes. And it's obvious, okay? Right now in this day and age, just about everybody has their college degree. I remember when there was a time where certain racial groups, if somebody had their college degree back then, people were like, wow. It's gotten to the point where black people say it all the time and they're like, oh, really? Okay, yeah. Because you know why they're like that? Because they're becoming a dime a dozen. And yet the fact remains that people are stupider than ever. Okay? They are. Period. There are white people who receive their GED and they integrate into society, and people would never even think that this person got their GED. They wouldn't know the difference. You know why people know the difference? Because they have such little regard for me that they'll throw my fucking shit in my file that's supposed to be locked away from everybody out in the open. And they're dumb enough to do it. And Harvey Hall will sit there and endorse it. That's the town I'm fucking goddamn living in. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up this video tonight. Ooh, I feel so much better. Have a good night, y'all. Bye.